I'd also point out that I'm no technical camera reviewer. I'm not even a blackhead on a spot on a pimple on the arse of a technical camera reviewer.
During the meanwhilest...
Hello, it's your boy Dexter and me, back with a more televisual delights for you to feast your eyes on. Okay, it's just another bang average video, but hey, it's the best we can do. And in this year bang average video, I'm going to give you my opinion on the Fujifilm's X-T5 camera. Now, I've owned mine for around 6 months now, and I've shot over 5,000 images and video clips with it in that time, both handheld and on a tripod, so feel I am fairly well qualified to wax lyrical about it. I would point out though before starting that I'm hardly a power user of my cameras. I tend to shoot in manual focus mode, in manual or aperture priority mode mainly, and don't make the use of the more advanced features this or any other camera offers, like, rapid shooting mode or subject detection even. I'd also point out that I'm no technical camera reviewer. I'm not even a blackhead on a spot on a pimple on the arse of a technical camera reviewer. And as such, I'm not going to cover, technical specifications, etc. And there are dozens of better placed resources to get that information other than from yours truly. What I will share with you though are my personal experiences of my own personal use of my personal camera. Are we happy and good and understood? Then we will begin. Now, I did have my reservations before buying this camera, particularly around Fujifilm's list of optimized lenses and the absence of my favorite landscape lens, the 10-24 from that list. But in the end, the lure of 42 megapixels was too much and I gave in. And I was fortunate enough, thanks to the lovely people at Camera Centre Swansea, to get mine on the first day of release. So big thank you to them. So what are my thoughts on this camera that everyone on the internet seemingly just loves, or loved at the start anyway, to hate? Well, my first one when unboxing the camera was its small size. I thought it would have the same form factor as my X-T4, but it ended up being closer to my X-T2 to be honest. But thankfully they did keep the larger NPW235 battery in it though. Initially the small size didn't bother me at all. I mean, after all, I predominantly use my cameras on a tripod, so what they're like to handhold really isn't important, or rather wasn't, and I will come on to that later. By the way, I will post or put some of the images I shot with my X-T5 over this video as I gabble on. First off, and most importantly, is the image quality. Now, I needn't have worried about my 10-24's absence from Fuji's list, as there is a definite improvement in resolution from my X-T2 and X-T4. And I'll post a link to a video I made looking at this in the description below, or in a card at the top of the screen round about now. If you were worried about there being too many pixels packed onto the sensor, then don't be. The image quality is just sublime. I wouldn't say it has the character or the charm of my X-T2, but in terms of resolving fine details, it is unsurpassable, well, in the APS-C market at least. If, on the other hand, you're worried that 40 megapixels isn't enough, the camera uses its IBIS mechanism to allow pixel shift shooting and 160 megapixel raw images. And I'll link to another video I made where I have a look at this, again in the card above or in the description below, or maybe both. Who knows, if I remember. Dynamic range is impressive, with recoverable shadow detail being very good. I found that where I'm bracketing on my X-T2, I can shoot for the highlights and recover the shadow details more easily and cleanly. On the X-T5, I go as far as to say it's almost in GFX territory. Shooting with lenses that are on Fuji's optimized list reveals even more detail in the final image, something I found really useful when photographing birds recently with my 50-140 and 100-400 lenses, both of which are on that list. Coming from a position where I've largely used manual focused, I found the autofocus system to be fast and reliable. As I said though, I'm not exactly a power user and tend to just stick to single point AF, to be honest, but I found that it finds and locks onto subjects, birds in my case, quickly, and once there is sticky enough. Now others' mileage may vary and I've not delved into the animal etc AF settings, so I can't comment on those. Higher ISO noise levels are acceptable. Now most of the time when birding I'm shooting at 800 or 1600, and while in lower light there is some noise, it's certainly not overbearing or excessive, and is easily dealt with in Lightroom, especially with their newest denoise AI feature. In fact, watch my video on that functionality to find out more. I'll put a link above and in the description. It's all links in it. I shoot almost all the time in uncompressed RAW, giving me files around 85 megabytes in size. Now, as these aren't too big, I've not explored either the lossless or lossy compressed file options. One negative with the X-T5 RAW files, well, at this present time, at least, is that Adobe's DNG converter doesn't recognize them, meaning I can't use them with Helicon focus, unfortunately. I could just use JPEG files, I know, but for now I'm sticking to shooting images for focus stacking on my X-T2. I don't really look at Fujifilm's film simulations, well, not with this camera at least, and maybe I should start playing into those a little bit more. As far as video is concerned, I've not even looked at the 6.2K functionality, sticking to 4K really, as that's more than you're ever going to need, I've got to be honest with you. And aside from some early tests, I really only use this camera to record slow motion video at 200 frames per second for playback at 25 FPS. Now in video mode, I do make use of the film simulations. While most people will tell you that Eterna is best for video, I really like Astia. It gives a really soft, warm, old filmic look, I find, something which I enjoy greatly. There have been no problems whatsoever editing the footage in iMovie on my 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro. I've stuck with my X-T4 though for my main video work. I just feel that camera more suited to my particular video needs. In terms of physically using the camera, it's standard Fujifilm fare, so if you're used to the retro controls and no PSAM dial, you'll be just fine. To be honest, Fuji's retro approach to me makes photography so much more simpler. I mean, the whole exposure triangle of, shutter speed, aperture and ISO are laid out in front of you. It's such an intuitive system. I'm surprised other camera manufacturers really haven't copied that approach more. The menu system has had a slight redesign and now returns you to your last visited setting, thankfully, rather than sending you back to some random place buried deep in a different menu somewhere. To be honest though, I found once the camera is set up, there is little or no need to delve into the rather comprehensive menu anyway, and I really only use it to format memory cards after transferring files. Handling wise, the small form factor hasn't troubled me. I know I got larger than average hands, but don't feel any need to add a grip, although I have brought one of those, those thumb grips that slots onto the hot shoe, just to give my thumb a little bit more purchase when hand holding the camera. And I'd give up physical size if it means having a lighter camera every day of the week. Shooting with the 100-400 is probably pushing the camera's balance to its absolute maximum limit though. That said, hand holding for long periods doesn't pose my stick thin arms any major problems, but with smaller lenses like the 35 or even the 10-24 on, it does feel a much better balanced unit. The IBIS system means I rarely get a shaky or blurred shot, even with my 100-400 at 400mm, and the larger battery does seem to last forever, though I still carry a spare with me, particularly if I am shooting some video. I've used the camera in all sorts of weather conditions, from freezing cold to rain, with absolutely zero issues, so the weather sealing, the weather resistance is up to the job. In common with other X-T offerings, the camera is infinitely customizable and easily set up to operate exactly how you would want. There is a plethora of buttons and dials, and even touchscreen gestures to make day-to-day use of the camera an absolute doddle. Mine is set up pretty much identically to my other Fujifilms, but if you're new to the brand, then trust me, I doubt there are many more customizable cameras out there. If you are interested in how I've set mine up, then let me know, and I'll make a video covering that at some stage in the future. One negative point I found in terms of handling is that when adjusting ISO, on a few occasions it's resulted in the drive selector being changed as well. I found after adjusting ISO at times, sometimes in say continuous high mode or something, as the drive collar has been shifted unintentionally. Now this might stop when the camera loosens up, but it's something to look out for, and not something I come across before on any of the many Fujifilm bodies I own or have owned in the past. Lastly, let's discuss the screen. It's a move away from the fully articulated unit on the X-T4 and a return to the simpler fold-out mechanism of the X-T3 and 2. Now, I've not found this to be an issue at all, but then I don't use this camera to film myself in my videos. As I said, I leave that to my X-T4, where I find the fold-out screen on that an absolute must. I can see why Fujifilm went back to the older screen, and having it in line with the lens is great for stills work, but if you film yourself regularly like some superstar vlogger, then this might be a problem for you. I do, however, miss that I can no longer fold the screen away and protect it, though. That I do like on my X-T4 when I'm not using the camera. In conclusion then, I am really very happy with it. For my landscape work, it's been just fine, and the extra detail has been a revelation, even reminding me of my GFX shooting days with, you know, smoother gradations between tones and colours being handled really, really well. And while I'm no proper bird photographer, I find the results I can get are surprisingly good, given my levels of patience and talent in this area. So do you want a Fujifilm X-T5? Well, of course you do. It really is an excellent, capable, all-round camera, able to produce stunning images and video. Do you really need one though? Well, if you've already got an X-T4, then probably not, unless you actually need that extra resolution. It's a huge step up from an X-T1, 2 or a 3 though, with IBIS, better video specs, the resolution, and that larger battery bringing massive benefits to the table. The extra resolution is nice, but not a game changer as far as I'm concerned, even though it's the reason I bought the camera in the first place. Right, well there we are then. In conclusion, Fujifilm's X-T5 is an excellent camera with outstanding image and video picture quality, and a worthy upgrade from any other X-T camera. Do you actually need one? As I said in the video, probably not, to be honest. The extra resolution is, though, it is lovely to have. Now, I've not used it with the new what's it called, remote app yet. I haven't explored that, but once I have, I'll probably end up making a video about that as well. Anyway, that is it for this week's Tech Tuesday. Thank you as ever for watching. Dexter and I really do appreciate every view, every comment, every thumbs up, thumbs down, every subscription we get. We love all the interactions with our little channel here. Yeah, and as I always say, stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves, your loved ones, your little pets as well, and be nice. Be nice. We may be here on Saturday. I'm not sure. Depends if I can get something filmed in time. And then next Tuesday, I'm going to give my first impressions of the new to me, Laowa, or Venus Optics Laowa 65mm f2.8 ultra macro lens. There we are. That'll be exciting, won't it? Okay. We will see you either on Saturday or next Tuesday. All the very best. Ta-ra.